Welcome back to Tarot by the Bay. I'm David. Tonight I'm going to throw some cards on the current situation in the House of Representatives, trying to choose a Speaker of the House. Currently it is January 4th, 2023, and it appears that Kevin McCarthy has lost, I believe, 6 votes so far. Hakeem Jeffries actually getting the most votes. I just did a video on it. It was amazing, and there was no sound, which is, for tarot, it's okay, I suppose, but having the cards explained to you if you don't understand them is helpful. In that prior reading, I'd asked Spirit 2 questions. One, what is it going to take for the GOP to get a speaker in? And then what is it that we're supposed to learn from this procedure that's going on right now? And the card that just falls out is the strength and keeping your emotions in there. So I'm keeping the faith here that this great American experiment will continue despite that. Okay. It was a great reading. I really liked it. I wish I had the audio for it. It would be uploaded right now. But I'll throw on it again. And, well, if tarot is tarot and the energy is energy, I should get a similar reading. So first question I'm going to ask is, what is it going to take for the GOP to get the Speaker of the House chosen? Notice I didn't say Kevin McCarthy, because Kevin McCarthy isn't, if Kevin McCarthy could be the Speaker, he would have lost 6 votes on this one. So this is going to have to be other members of the GOP need to sort of step up, because 20 of them, 200 of them or so are voting for McCarthy and 20 are not. Okay, so what does the GOP need to do on this one? Let's go ahead and bring the camera down. They need to plan. They need to start thinking of a plan of action to get through this. They have the idea that the current process isn't working, and now they're formulating a plan. This is hugely embarrassing to them, and it's embarrassing to our country, and I'll explain that in a second. They're juggling. They're going to need to make some deals, and they're juggling right now, and it's causing a lot of waves. Which is why they have to plan, because it's right now you've got 2 factions in the Republican Party, and they can't get this job done because of that. And nostalgia, they wish it was like the way it used to be, and underneath it is waiting for your ship to come in, or basically putting your plan into action. So the Republicans, basically, again, they've got a plan. They have an idea that this is not working, and why isn't it working? Well, underneath it, there's 2 factions in the GOP, and there's 2 factions. You've got 3 factions, right? You've got Democrats, you've got Republicans, and then you've got the MAGA crowd within the Republican Party. So it's almost like you've got 3 parties, but the coalition between the MAGA and the Republicans is not working for choosing the House Speaker. And this is probably a uniquely American thing, because we've had only 2 political parties for the longest time. Other countries where they have multiple political parties, they can come together with a coalition. The Republicans haven't had to do that. They haven't had to have a coalition. I was saying this is hugely embarrassing for the Republicans. It is, because it's showing that they are not a House united, they're a House divided. But it's also embarrassing for the United States, because it's showing the United States is a House divided too. And this is going to cause leaders of other countries to maybe press on some things that they wouldn't have pressed otherwise. Give an example with Putin invading Ukraine. He felt emboldened to do that because the United States was weakening NATO for a number of years recently. And he felt that NATO was not a cohesive, united front, and there would be squabbling. So he could move in there before NATO could become united. And it didn't work out the way he wanted it to. A current example that could happen, China is coveting Taiwan. And maybe after seeing that the problems that Putin ran into trying to get into Ukraine, they may be thinking against Taiwan. But if the United States isn't united in Congress and the presidency, they might make a move on Taiwan. That's kind of an example of how this is hurting the U.S. Nostalgia, 6 of Cups. This is not the way it used to be. The Republicans used to be in lockstep with each other at all times. They kept their dirty laundry in-house so that people didn't see it. The problem is the Republican Party is fractured. you have two major factions, and it's dividing, it's fracturing in front of us. Underneath it all, they're getting ready to initiate a plan of action. This is going to be the Republicans reaching out to the Democrats to come up with a compromise candidate. They're not, basically what they're realizing is that the 20 holdouts from the MAGA faction aren't going to compromise. They're just not going to. So if you can't compromise with them, or as Ronald Reagan said, do not negotiate with terrorists. They're like terrorists within the Republican Party, and the Republicans are going to have to find other people to work with them, and the only other people to work with them are the Democrats. Now, the Democrats are going to let them humiliate themselves for a while. At some point, Hakeem Jeffries and the leadership of the Democratic Party will work with the Republicans, assuming that the Republicans don't resolve this issue in-house. And I don't think they will. And so now what's going to happen is the Democrats will work with the Republicans to come up with a candidate that is probably somebody who's reasonable, somebody you can negotiate with, maybe a kind of an old school mindset, like basically the way things used to be. And by the way, I say the way things used to be, back in the 80s or so, when I was becoming politically aware, Tip O'Neill was in charge of the House. I mean, he was a huge Democrat, liberal, as my father would say. But back then, Republicans and Democrats compromised to get stuff done. Congress worked together. Not always, but they negotiated. And, it wasn't 100%, win at all costs and you can't compromise because compromise is weakness. No, it was more of a 60-40 thing. And I think that's what's going to have to happen, which is good for the U.S. Ultimately, it's good for the U.S. because it's going to force Congress to start working as a cohesive unit. Because right now, it's basically going to be the seditionists versus the non-seditionists. Because right now, the GOP and the seditionists can't agree. Okay, so what does Spirit want us to take away from all this? And I think that I was just touching on it right now. My belief on this is, and I'm biased, is that this card wants to come up, so we're going to have this one, is that it wants us to work together. If the United States is going to come back to leading the world on things, we can't be a house divided. We got to be a house united. And it means you have to compromise. Working together. Three of Pentacles. The United States has to work together. If somebody comes up with the plans and then the workers get it together, it's not in this card at the Three of Pentacles. You've got the engineer, you have the stonemason, and you've got the engineers. The two engineers have come up with the plan. The stonemason is the one who puts it together. In this scenario, the stonemason can't do it himself. He doesn't have the planning. The engineers can't do it because they don't have the skill to do it. You have to work together in order to get this done. The Empress. Why do you need to work together to get everything done? So that everybody's taken care of. The Empress is about, prosperity and making sure everybody has enough. And that's the art of compromise, right? Is making sure everybody gets enough. Not that the elites get the bigger slice of the pie and everybody else gets a smidgen. Everybody gets some. Everybody's taken care of. Society is best when you build it from the ground up, not from the top down. High Priestess. Wisdom. You've got feminine wisdom, actually, with the High Priestess, and I'll touch on that one in a second. And then the Sun, truth. Underneath it all, there's that Ace of Wands again. In the last reading, the Ace of Wands came up twice. Okay, so underneath it, there's a new plan of action, a new way of going forward, a new way of doing things. And I was mentioning that I'm suggesting the Republicans need to work with the Democrats. That's the way it used to be. But it's going to be a new way of doing things because the Democrats have not been working with the Republicans. Republicans have not been working with the Democrats. They need to get together and put America first and Americans first in their policies, and not the elite Americans, all Americans. And the majority of Americans are not the top 1%. So that's what you've got. Central underneath it is the High Priestess. This is about divine feminine wisdom. And women tend, being stereotypical, but women are very nurturing. They want to make sure, especially when you got the Empress, which is also about nurturing. This is not about toxic masculinity. This is about worrying about the population as a whole. Again, the Empress, taking care of everyone. This woman is very comfortable. She's got a lot of nice things, but she's also making sure everybody has nice things. So everybody's invested in it. And the Sun is the truth. It's a brand new day. The truth is revealed. And it's a beautiful card. It's what needs to happen for everybody to prosper. I think of this card as being kind of like prosperity, even though it's not a pentacle. It's about prosperity and going forward. And again, that Ace of Wands is showing that there's a new plan that's involved. The previous reading, the signifier card for this was the Five of Cups. 3 cups down, 2 cups up. That's a card of compromise. I was talking about 60-40 earlier. That's what that is. That's the majority getting 60% of the pie, but the minority gets 40%. It's not all or nothing. Not the Five of Swords. It's the Five of Cups. It's about compromising. And that's the way things used to be, and that's the way we need to get back to. This country needs to get back to compromising so that we can start moving forward again. If it just depends on how quickly you want to move forward on this. So that's my reading on what Spirit wants us to do. They want us to work together and so that everybody prospers from this. So thank you. I hope you enjoyed that reading. Give it a thumbs up if you like it. Subscribe if you want. And I'll put up another reading soon. Have a good night.